Hey, it's Slacker Magician, and today I've got another competitive DN duel for all my faithful subscribers. If you ain't subscribed, get the fuck out! Just kidding, welcome to my channel. We got an interesting match on our hands today. Karakuri versus Shaddoll. I like to keep the duels on my channel entertaining, and I don't know about you guys, but I am completely sick of the Shaddoll mirror match. Karakuri God's going to start off the match with that normal summon Nanishi, which will give him the additional normal summon of Nisamu. They sync up into the blunt smoking pimp that is Beret. Beret's going to pull Saizon out of the deck and Soul Charge for what? Ain't nothing in the game that I haven't seen. Karakuri got such a huge boost with the release of Soul Charge because they just throw materials in the grave so fast that the turn 1 soul charges are real, allowing them to sync up like crazy and not have to worry about Dark Hole because Nat Beast has got their back. Plus, Synchro monsters are just so much better to bring back off of a soul charge because they can still use their effects. Because like Xyz monsters would lose their material, so you would never see an Xyz monster brought back other than like a Dante or a Delteros that would get an effect when it leaves the field. Just imagine that late game soul charge where you could like potentially get up to 3 Burritos and a Naturia Beast. You get to draw once for each burrito. That's just way too plus off of one card. Anyway, he sinks into Burrito with Saizon and Nisamu, allowing him to bring out the Merchant so that he can make Naturia Beast. He could have actually brought out another Burrito and probably a Quick, but the Naturia Beast is a safer play because it saves him from MSTs, and he probably knows, yeah, because he didn't want him to MST that Royal Decree. Also, he probably knows that Rich is playing Shaddoll since like he's one of the top-rated duelists on the site, and he really doesn't want him to get that Shaddoll fusion off with all these synchro monsters on the field. We see Rich just set 3 and pass. There's not really much else he could do since his spells are shut off, and he doesn't have any food for Blackluster Soldier or anything like that. Then adding insult to injury, the Royal Decree is flipped face up end phase, meaning those 2 back row are just completely dead. The only thing Karakuri God needs to worry about in order to get the OTK this turn is that face down monster. Normally he could just make Scrap Dragon, set like a dead spell or something, and pop it and attack for game. But we're talking about Shaddolls here, so that could be a face down dragon or lizard. And if he pops that with the Scrap Dragon, the dragon would pop the Royal Decree, and the lizard would probably send dragon to pop the Royal Decree, which would bring Rich's back row back online, and Karakuri God does not want that. Karakuri God activates Beret's effect to flip the face down monster, which is a pretty smart move because worst case scenario it's just a lizard or a dragon that'll probably get rid of the Nat Beast. And unless he's got a MST for the Royal Decree and then a Mirror Force to destroy all his monsters, it's a pretty safe bet that he'll be able to OTK this turn. Plus he just wants to eliminate the unknown factors before he goes in for the kill. And it does appear to be a Shaddoll Dragon, which is going to send that Nat Beast back into the extra deck. We see the Desynchro get activated, which will not only allow him to special summon another monster when Burrito comes back out, it'll also reset Burrito's effect, allowing him to draw again. Kinda makes you wonder if bouncing the Burrito would have been the correct move with the dragon, because since the Beret's materials were disturbed by the soul charge, he couldn't have used the Desynchro on the Beret, and that would have been the extent of his plays right there. But then again, Naturia Beast is just a huge problem for Shaddoll. He special summons Nanishi off of Burrito, which allows him to pull the Quick out of his hand with an extra normal summon. And then MST gets fired on the Royal Tribute. Or not the Royal Tribute, I meant the Royal Decree. I just had Tribute on the mind because right about now, Karakuri God is thinking, holy crap, what are the chances that that's actually a Torrential Tribute? Since Rich has 4 unknown cards out of the 38 remaining in his deck, it's a 10.52% chance that he has a Torrential face down. If he even runs Torrential. Rich says, "Come at me, bro." And Karakuri God responds, "I will come at you, bro. All in, no fear. That ain't a Torrential tribute." So he syncs up for another Beret. He pulls out the Karakuri Soldier. He can use Beret's effect to draw again by switching that into attack mode. We haven't seen a response from Rich yet, but Karakuri God still needs to put 500 more damage on board before he makes it game. So if that is a Torrential, he'll still be waiting for that final summon. He uses Iron Call to bring back Saizen, which is just enough damage, but it gets hit with the Vanity's Emptiness. But don't forget, Karakuri God has not used his normal summon this turn, only the extra summon from Nanishi, so if he has another monster in his hand, it's game over. The Karakuri soldier gets sent to the graveyard. For that tribute summon, Nanashik Karakuri Ninja. More Karakuri players need to run this card. It's like really good. Normally not for the tribute summon, but it's really good to just have the ability to bring out a level 5 off one of the Synchro's effects. And this is game over. Looks like Rich is still doing a little bit of math on this, but it is indeed game. Nanashik's effect isn't really half bad though. You could technically draw up to 4 cards off of it, but Karakuri God takes game 1. There's not much any deck can do against the first turn Naturia Beast followed up by Royal Decree. And welcome to game 2. Rich decides to go first, not wanting to get locked out of all of his spells and traps again. Rich activates that Foolish Burial. Normally they go Lizard into Beast just for basically a free Upstart Goblin plus that 3-card deck then. But since Karakuri's win strategy is so heavily attack based, he goes for Falco that floater who can bring back the Squamata, which can pop like a Nat Beast or Beretta. And if he's got that Sinister Shadow Games, he'll be able to reborn whatever the fudge he wants. He sets one more monster, 2 traps, and braces for the OTK. Since Karakuri God is going second this round, even if he does have the Wombo combo in his hand, he might want to wait just one more turn so that his Royal Decree can become live. Unfortunately, you can't activate a trap from the hand. You'll notice that he didn't summon the Merchant until main phase 2 because all Karakuri monsters must attack if able, at least the little ones do. And by going straight to main phase 2 before the summon, you can get right around that contract clause. But we do see that he does indeed have the Sinister Shadow Games, allowing him to go nuts, blasting away the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. He gets that Shaddoll fusion with the Hedgehog. He gets the Reborn Dragon off of the Falco, and since it's an end phase, he'll be able to reuse their effects again next turn. Not the flip effects, but I'm saying he'll probably use that added fusion to at least send the Hedgehog to the graveyard and get its effect. And things are not looking good whatsoever for Karakuri God because, as with any deck that spams monsters out like Karakuri does, Shaddoll Winda is a big problem. Although Karakuri does have a way around it, because Nanishi gives you that extra normal summon, so you can just normal summon twice and use those 2 monsters to sync up into something that can beat over Winda. And since Nanishi is the one that gives the effect and she's a tuner, you'll always be able to sync. Looks like Rich DeWint is still fishing for that Royal Decree, doesn't want him to be able to get off the Wombo combo. But it actually backfires on him because the dragon hits an MST, which takes out his Solemn Warning. My guess is we're about to see that incoming Arcanite Magician. There's really no point in going for Black Rose instead here because you would still get rid of all your opponent's cards. Plus you get that free body on board that's Arcanite. Yep, there's Arcanite right there. He's going to be able to add back that Shaddoll fusion. Winda is basically like a free material for a Synchro play or an Xyz play, even a Tribute summon because she pays for herself with that Shaddoll fusion when she gets sent to the graveyard. And that's on top of her already 2 super good effects. Winda and Construct the OGs with that sent to graveyard effect. Burning Abyss, just a bunch of copycats. Although there are cards like Eclipse Wyvern and I'm sure other things that get their effect when sent to the graveyard. That came out earlier, but he blows up his whole field, only has 1 back row to back up that Arcanite, and that Arcanite's actually going to be taken down by the Psychic Commander, but the fact that he's already in battle phase is a terrible sign. Yeah, no, I think this duel is over, ladies and gentlemen. The fact he just summoned a Psychic Commander and that's all he had, that is a brick of a hand. Trust me, he would have used his resources if he had them. There are threats coming, aka this Shaddoll Winda. That lizard's gonna be, I keep calling it lizard, but it's called Squamata now. Sorry to anybody who gives a crap about that kind of thing. But the hedgehog adds a Falco, and the lizard, oh my god, I just did it again. The Squamata sends Beast, allowing him to get that upstart goblin without paying the life points. And this game is pretty much a, whoa, what's going on? Like I just said a second ago, he tribute summons for Vanity's Fiend, which you might be thinking like, why the hell would you tribute Winda for Vanity's Fiend, where Winda's basically the exact same thing except Winda can't be destroyed by card effects, and not it's because of that thing I mentioned earlier. Karakuri can essentially play around Winda by normal summoning Nanishi, normal summoning the soldier, and then syncing up into Beret and just attacking over her, because you only use one special summon in that combo. But this way, there's just no special summoning period. So you can normal summon those two Karakuris if you want, but that you're not gonna be able to sync up and attack over me. And even if he was able to do that, I really don't think that Karakuri God even has that play, seeing as he's just setting his monsters over and over again. Plus, getting out the Vanity's Fiend is basically free since you get to add back that Shaddoll fusion anyway. Although I know you keep having to use materials again and again to activate it, but all the Shaddolls let you go +1 when they're used as material anyway, so it's not really a big deal. And the Mathematician sends what? Sends the Hedgehog gonna search out that dragon. I really don't know why Karakuri God isn't scooping at this phase. I guess Shaddoll isn't really much of an OTK deck, so he figures he might be wow, that 15 attack to that 15 defense, but Quick's going to be changed into attack mode due to his effect, so he is going to take a little bit of damage. Sets one trap, passes back to Karakuri God. I think he's like fishing for soul. Actually, he can't even activate Soul Charge. Maybe I don't know why he's not scooping, but he will not give up till the bitter end. He is like Mikasa in that way. And let's see, the Mathematician is gonna get over that soul. Oh yeah, he can't special summon off of the soldier, and the Vanity's Fiend gets in that direct attack, and he finally scoops. I guess that was the bitter end, and that leaves us with the count of Karakuri 1, Shaddoll 1. Who will be the champion? Only time will tell. Am I narrating like this? And don't tell anybody, but I'm actually rooting for Karakuri God right now because I just always root for the underdog and like the older decks because like Shaddoll wins everything. Like I just want to I don't know. I root for the underdog. And don't get me wrong, Shaddoll is one of my favorite decks. Let's see, if I had to list my favorite decks, I'd say number 1, Prophecy, number 2, Infernity, number 3, Shaddoll, then 4 would be Bujin, and topping off the top 5 would be Lightsworn. And if you guys are sitting there saying, what the hell, S-Knights are way better than half those decks you just listed, I'm not, that wasn't my list of the top 5 meta decks of the format, that was my top 5 favorite playstyles, so chill imaginary person I'm talking to. But yeah, I have played literally every deck though in Yu-Gi-Oh because I have to like be a well-informed commentator. Not only that, every single player should learn how to play every single deck because you need to know how your opponent's deck works if you want to beat them. And when you play a deck, you really learn what hurts most and then you can do it to your future opponents. But I digress. I'm getting really far behind in this commentary. Anyway, he instant fusion into Panzer, normal summon the Psychic Commander, synced up into Burrito, brought up the Nanishi off of that, allowing him to get that extra normal summon, which allowed him to add the Karakuri Searcher Cash Cast to his hand. Syncs up into Nappy, super strong against Shaddoll. And it's, oh my lord, and the skill charges dropped. The Shaddoll player is going to have a very hard time getting around this board. And it's funny how you're seeing that basically the person who went first is basically like, I think that Karakuri is going to win this match now because of this amazing first turn. And Rich won game 2 because he went first and they just both set up the stun that the other one couldn't get past. Well, Karakuri God kind of bricked game 2, but it just goes to show how broken it used to be going first before you didn't draw on your first turn because I know it's still better to go second sometimes, like in Fire Kings and I don't know, Cyber Dragons or there's all kinds of Mermails wants to go second too, but I'd say much more often than not it's still way better to go first because it's pretty easy to go +1 on your opening turn and you get to set up your stun aspects of your deck for your opponent. Looking back, I feel like too much advantage was granted by just who wins the die roll. Now, I like it so much better with the new rules. Anyway, let me get back into the commentary. Sorry for continuing to go on a rant. He soul charged for 3, the Panzer Dragon, and then Nanishi brought out a second Burrito, who with his effect summoned Nanashik from the deck. And like I was saying, Nanashik is just too good not to run because it allows you to go into level 8s when normally you'd only be able to go into a level 7. Which is going to be extremely relevant in this case because normally he'd only be able to make a beret unless he wanted to Black Rose his own field. But now he can go into Stardust Dragon, which, in case y'all didn't know, best kept secret of the Shaddoll players, that Stardust Dragon wrecks their shit. And there he is. If Construct tries to attack anything while he's on board, he says, "Whoop! Blow you up, bitch! Yup, your effect gets negated, you're fucking dead. Next!" And he laughs at Winda's little ass and runs that bitch over. No offense, Winda, you know I meant bitch in a positive way. You're my main bitch. You're the head bitch in charge. HBIC. That's why I don't understand why Vexicus doesn't play Shaddolls. It's because, like, Construct and Winda are, like, literally the head bitches in charge if there ever were one. Other than the High Priestess, of course. She's the original head bitch in charge, and in fact, the deck is still relevant in the meta. Comment down below whether the High Priestess, Winda, Construct, or Vexicus is the real HBIC. Anyway, back to the duel. Rich is locked out of his spells, his destruction effects, and if that's a face-down Royal Decree, he is also locked out of his traps. So he says, "Brace yourselves! Ban list predictions are coming!" Maybe not so specifically bracing for the ban list, but he does set 5 and brace for the OTK. And I think it's safe to say that this is a wrap because he just got to draw twice again off of the Burritos. The dude's got mad card advantage right now. I'm pretty sure he just succeeded into Felgren just to make more space. He wants to go into that level 7 beret so that he can flip his face down monster, get some information about what's going on here before he goes in for the kill like earlier. And we see Rich blind fire the MST on the face down even though Naturia Beast is on the field. Not sure whether or not Rich just completely forgot about the Nat Beast or if he was trying to get him to mill the last targets in the deck to summon. Or, well, I think that he just forgot that Naturia Beast was on the field. Rich, if you're watching this, leave a comment below explaining your damn self. And we see that the face down monster that got flipped up was an ice hand, something I've never seen any Shaddoll player side. I think that explains the MST though. He's trying to get the Stardust to negate the MST so that the ice hand couldn't get negated. And that's the scoop phase, folks. Karakuri God was never actually forced to show that he had the Royal Decree or not, so I think that Rich drew into like a bunch of Shaddoll fusions and a bunch of other dead spells. They could have even been upstart goblins, but to anyone that thinks that Shaddolls are too powerful tier 0, let this be inspiration to you. They are still defeatable. This has been Slacker Magician. I'll see you guys in the next duel.